When they were children, she would sneak into his room past curfew, flashlight in hand, and challenge his seriousness with whispered impressions of their parish priest or dramatic reenactments of saints' martyrdoms. No matter how hard he tried, she always drew a reluctant grin from him. "You're not stone, Matty," she'd whisper, forehead pressed to his. "You're just scared if you move, everything will crack." Lena saw the weight he carried before he ever wore a uniform. She knew his silence wasn't emptiness. It was armor. Threat or just a tragic misunderstanding. Matteo didn't know. He wasn't sure it even mattered. What he did know, as he sat alone in the barracks mess hall that evening, uniform folded with surgical precision beside him, untouched dinner going cold on the tray, was that the world had already made up its mind. The Vatican, however, had not. A closed-door inquiry was convened before sundown. No official statements were made. But whispers leaked, as they always did. Some senior officials argued that Matteo had saved the Pope's life. Others warned that allowing even justified deviations from protocol could shatter the ceremonial armor the Church wore in times of change. Inside his quarters, Matteo waited. Not anxiously, not proudly, just still. He watched the moon rise over St. Peter's Dome through a narrow window and thought not of duty, nor consequences, but of Lena, how she would have laughed, wide-eyed and triumphant. "You moved," she would have said. Finally. And maybe that was what scared them most. That a statue could move. That a symbol could act. That a metronome with lungs could stop the clock. Tomorrow, the Church would decide what to do with him. But tonight, history had already taken note, and somewhere in the Vatican archives, whether acknowledged or not, a new kind of footnote had been etched, one step forward, against centuries. Threat guard breaks protocol. Pope unfazed. Who was the intruder, hero or overstep? Vatican insider raises concerns. The man in question was identified within hours. A freelance photojournalist from Florence recently approved for paper access. His record was clean, his credentials valid. The item he had reached for, a press pass tucked into his coat lining. No weapon, no ill intent, just poor timing, poor judgment, and a movement that looked far too much like something worse. He was released by evening, but Matteo's action couldn't be undone. Inside the Vatican Secretariat, responses were drafted, not press releases, internal memos, the kind that circulated in Latin, the kind that never made it past stained glass. Cardinal Gregory, prefect for pontifical ceremonies, reportedly referred to the event as a visible fracture in sacred performance. Someone overheard another official use the phrase liturgical contamination, but the commandants said nothing. Not officially. That silence Matteo knew was not neutrality. It was weight being measured by sunset. No order had come, no summons, no scolding, no formal notice, but Matteo knew it was coming. It always did, just like his father's tailor shears. Quiet, sharp, and inevitable. Threat averted, protocol broken, the Pope unfazed, but questions echoed through the Vatican. The intruder was identified within hours, a freelance photojournalist from Florence, recently cleared for press access. His record was spotless, his credentials verified. What he had reached for wasn't a weapon, but a press pass sewn into his coat lining. No harm intended, just bad timing, worse judgment, an emotion that, in the moment, looked far too much like danger. He was released by evening. But Matteo's action, stepping out of formation, couldn't be unwound. Inside the Secretariat, responses were drafted. Not press releases, but internal memos, the kind written in Latin, meant for circulation behind stained glass and closed doors. Cardinal Gregory, prefect of pontifical ceremonies, reportedly called it a visible fracture in sacred performance. Another official was overheard whispering the term liturgical contamination. The commandant said nothing. Not publicly. Not yet. But Matteo understood the silence. It wasn't indifference, it was deliberation, weight being quietly measured. By sunset, no reprimand had come. No summons. No formal word. But Matteo knew it was on its way. It always was. Like his father's tailor's shears, quiet, sharp, and inevitable.